I think one of the most basic desires in life is to have a loving family. And when you have a loving family, nothing is better in the world. And when you don't, nothing is more painful, honestly. And so, we need to have a loving family. But the word love, even when you say having a loving family, well, what does that mean? Because the word love really, in the English language, the word love is really almost meaningless, honestly. We say, oh, I love Karen. I love my wife. I love my grandkids. Love my job. Love my children. Love roses. Love Duck Dynasty. Love hot dogs. I love the Dallas Cowboys, and I love people who love the Dallas Cowboys. And people who don't love the Dallas Cowboys, never mind. So I'm saying, but the word love really, you just throw the word out, and it means everything and it means nothing. You say it about your pajamas, you say it about your children. There ought to be a better word, honestly, that we use, that we just don't throw around everywhere that we go. And so I want to ask you a question. I want you to think about this. Don't answer out loud because your family may be with you. Okay. When you say, I love you to your family, what do you mean by that? Honestly, when you say I love you to your wife or your husband or to your children or your grandchildren, what do you mean by that? And again, what I'm trying to do is to get us to come to an understanding of what the word love really means. And it's an important question because when God says he loves us, he has something very specific in mind, and the love of our family should mirror God's love. So the question is, when God says to us that he loves us, what does he mean by that? And the Bible tells us very specifically. And this is John 3:16, using the word love here. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. The word love there is the word apago, that is the verb, but the noun is agape. The Greek language is much superior to the English language because it has many more words in it and much more specific words than we have in the English language. So when God's saying and he loves us in the New Testament, it's always the word agape, almost always the word agape. This is God's kind of love. Now this is a full theological definition of the word agape. When God says he loves us, it means agape. Here is the full theological definition, and I absolutely love this, but pay attention to this definition. Here it is. The definition of agape: unconditional love, love by choice, and by an act of the will. The word denotes unconquerable benevolence and undefeatable goodwill. It will never seek anything but the highest good for another person. Listen, it does not need a chemistry, an affinity, or a feeling. It is love that endures through any circumstance or difficulty. Agape is a love that exclusively belongs to God and God's people. And I got that out of one of my theology books. That's a full theological definition of the word agape. It's a beautiful thing. Agape love is the only love that doesn't require an emotion. Every other type of love in this world requires an emotion. And let me give you an example of this. These are the 5 words for love in the Greek language. And many of these occur in the Bible. It just says, in our Bibles, it just says love, but it doesn't say that in the Greek language. Here are the 5 words for love in the Greek language. The first is epithumia. And the word epithumia, this is where we get our word thermos, by the way. It means passion, it means hot. And so I say, I love the Dallas Cowboys. That means I'm passionate about the Dallas Cowboys. It's a different kind of a love than I have for Karen or my grandchildren. And so the Greek language lets me use a different word. I'm passionate about it, okay? That's epithumia. Another word is eros. We know that this is where we get our word erotic. And so this is sexual desire. I say to Karen, I love you. Could have been, that I'm saying it in the sexual way. Phileo is another word. This is a fond affection, a brotherly love. The word Philadelphia, Delphia is brother. Philos is a fond affection, a friendship that you have with someone. So Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love, okay? And so if I come to a friend of mine and I say, I love you, you're a good friend to me, you've always been a good friend to me, I love you, I could be saying philos here. Another word is the word storge. And the word storge is a family bond. It means, I love some people in my family that I don't like a lot, kind of extended family. I'm not talking about my immediate family, uncles, aunts, maybe, people out there that I don't have a real strong affection toward, but they're my family, they're blood. And so that's storge love. That's a different kind of love. Fifth kind of love is agape love, God's kind of love that we just talked about. So there's epithumia, passion. There's eros, sexual desire. There's phileo, which means a fond affection, a friendship. And there is storge, which means a family bond. Let me go back to my question for just a minute. What do you mean when you say you love your family? What do you mean by that? When you say I love you to your husband or to your wife, when you say you love your children or your grandchildren or your parents, what do you mean by that? Are you saying that you have a strong feeling for them? Towards your wife or husband, are you saying you sexually desire them? Are you saying, I love you like a friend? I have a fond affection toward you? Are you saying, I feel a family bond with you? What do you mean by that? Okay, let me say this. If you mean passion, it's gonna leave. Listen, I love Jesus, but I'm not always passionate about Jesus. I've made a decision to love Jesus, but sometimes I feel more passionate than other times about Jesus. We all do, because feelings come and go. You can't regulate feelings. So, you're in love, you're about to get married, or maybe you're married and you're very sexually attracted to each other. That changes. That changes. It comes and goes. You can't rely on that. You say, I love you like a friend. Okay, what happens when bad times hit? They're not acting like a friend, or they betray you, or something bad happens and that feeling goes. What happens when that family bond? There's problems in the family that overcome the feeling of that family bond. And I'm saying this, you cannot depend on a feeling. You simply cannot. If your love means an emotion, you have a very unstable foundation of love in your family. I'm just saying it won't support your family. That is not a supportable foundation. And I'm not saying that it's wrong to feel. If you feel passion, if you feel attraction, if you feel friendship, I'm not saying that it's wrong to feel. I'm saying it's wrong to base your love for another person on an emotion, and you need to thank God that God doesn't. When God tells us he loves us, what God is saying is, I will never change my mind. I'm in love with you. This is not a feeling. I don't need a chemistry. Agape doesn't need a chemistry. Agape will never say, I don't love you anymore. I'm out of love. Agape doesn't say that, because agape doesn't run out of will. But if you have a feeling, you're gonna run out of that feeling. I'm telling you right now, your feelings cannot dictate your life. There's nothing more painful in the world than a person who lives by their emotions. Your emotions will tear you apart if you let them be the engine. Our emotions are the caboose. They're there. They sometimes are good, they sometimes are bad, sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down. Do not let your life be led by emotions. Emotions are the caboose, my will is the engine. And what I have said to Karen Evans is, I will love you for the rest of my life. might not like you right now. I might not have any feelings right now. I may not have any attraction right now, but I have decided, like God decided to me, that for the rest of my life, I will only do what is good for you, regardless of how I feel, regardless of the circumstances. So when I say to Karen Evans, when I say to my children and grandchildren, I love them, what I'm saying to you is, like God loves me, I've made a decision in good times and in bad to only do what's best for you. That's what I mean by that. I've made a choice to love you regardless of how I feel or the circumstances. I will only seek what's best for you, and I'll be faithful for you. So the nature of love, when you talk about love, and let me say this now, just look at Hollywood. If you want to see how miserable people can be through chemistry and by feelings, just look at Hollywood. Look at these relationships. They've got all the money in the world. They're the best looking people on earth. If chemistry could make a relationship work, they would explode when they kissed. But they get married, they have these $3, $4, $5 million weddings, and then it explodes because it was based on sexual attraction and passion. And there was not the foundation of a godly will behind it. And I love those people, and Karen and I pray for them all the time. I'm not better than they are. But look at them. And I'm saying look at them because they're public. What makes a family that is loving is an act of your will that does not change, that stands during good times and bad, and it acts like God when ungodly things are happening. The source of that love is God.